A lot of people will say it was talent, but some of them didn't see like the hours behind the scene. I used to run by myself. I used to come like Saturdays, Sundays when we were like supposed to be off. I wanted it more than anybody else.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson, and today I'm joined with D1 soccer player Jose Ortiz. Jose, thanks for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
We're going to get into your mindset and what it's like being a D1 athlete. Before we get into that, I'd like to talk about your journey to become a D1 athlete. So can you give us like a quick backstory of who you were growing up regarding athletics, let's say up to high school?
I was born and raised in Honduras. I was brought to the United States when I was 10 years old. I started playing soccer when I was 5. I used to play in the club that my dad used to play back in Honduras because he also played professional. He was a left back.
Did your dad train you a lot growing up?
Yeah, like when we first got here to like the United States, when we moved into a house in Arlington, and there was like a park like 2 minutes literally away from it. I used to like be kicking the ball around the house and stuff like that. And my mom and my grandma, when they'll come over, they'll get mad at me because like, oh, you're gonna like break something. So my dad used to take me out to the park, and that's where I actually like met like my first teammates, like my first team. It was like a rec team that I used to practice there. And I used to go shoot the ball around, and I like jumped in, and like the coach liked me. He was like, "You should come play with us."
Going to high school, your first year, you were named Gatorade National Player for Texas, and then you said you made it to state. So how was that? Do you think it was mostly all talent, or do you think you really just put in the work outside of team training to get to that level?
A lot of people will say it was talent, but some of them didn't see like the hours like behind the scene. You know that I used to put in, like I used to put in. Like I used to run by myself. I used to come like Saturdays, Sundays when we were like supposed to be off. I used to come and like do finishing. You know, like a lot of things a striker myself would do my position. So I think a lot of that was like hard work and just like dedication and like that I wanted it. You know, like I wanted it more than anybody else.
Were you doing all that already in like middle school? Like were you already had more work ethic than other players in middle school, or was that like once you got to high school?
Yeah, I started like in middle school, like my 8th grade year. That's when I started like running, like actually taking it serious. Like I started to see my potential. Like I can become better and better and better, and like hopefully, you know, like I was thinking of college too. I want to become so good that I don't put my family in a position where they have to pay for college, where a college can like offer me like, you know, like something, and I can go like there for free. So that was like the motivation I had, and also I wanted to be like my dad, you know, like play soccer like the highest level.
From going to state and then being that Gatorade National Player of the Year freshman year, did that add more pressure to you going, you know, freshman year you had all these accomplishments, that add more pressure to you going forward into up through senior year, or did that give you confidence?
I knew it was gonna bring pressure. Like all the teams were gonna look at me, like other players were gonna, like defenders were gonna try to tackle me, you know, like be all up on me. But I think it's just motivated me more to like do better every year and do better, like score more goals and do things like that.
Did you deal with like trash talker from other teams, or just that they targeted you in games?
Definitely, yeah. They were like used to text me like before the games or like after the games, like during the game, but they were just trying to get me on my game, and like I wouldn't really pay attention to them. You know, as soon as I got in the field, I used to do my work. You know, just help the team out, score goals, and get a win.
Do you think of that criticism while you're playing, or do you just kind of just forget it and block it out?
I blocked it out. Yeah, I didn't really think about it. You know, like when I step on the field, I just try to enjoy. You know, I forget about everything.
So you performed well in high school and able to make it D1. How was the recruiting process? Did you have other schools you were looking at, and why did you settle on SMU?
Yeah, there were a few schools. When we decided to come to SMU was it was so close from home, and that's something that like I'm really, I want to say attached, but I'm really close to my family, and like seeing that they were in Dallas and from Arlington, like a few minutes from here, that made like the decision much easier. You know,
How does your family impact you as a player?
they did a lot of things for me when I was little, and like still to this point, they used to like make like long drives like to Frisco. I don't know, like places like that, like far from Arlington. And like used to sacrifice a lot of the times to go with me like on tournaments and just be there for me, like take me to practice, you know, like late nights. Getting a degree from like SMU is like a way of me telling them thank you and like proving them that all that time and like all the things they did for me like are gonna pay out.
And then is that just a motivation for you, like every day in training, to think about your family and giving back?
Yeah, like I always think of my family like every day, you know, like how can I like make them happy, you know, make them proud of me.
So getting here, transitioning from high school to D1 level, how was that transition?
Oh, definitely is like a big difference, like technically, like the speed of game, just like everything, like the players are like much bigger, much faster, much stronger. So I'll say like the first 6 months, it was like really hard for me. I feel like I'm pretty good technically, but like all the players around me are like as good or even better, you know.
Right,
So
it's the
like
best of the best.
that helped me a lot. That pushed me, you know, to become better and just keep grinding, and become like a better player over the past 2 years.
How did you deal with that mentally initially? Like, was it a knock on your confidence, and then did you go back to the kind of your work ethic from high school of where you put in extra work outside of team training?
Yeah, I had to definitely put some extra work outside, you know, like because I wanted to be like at that level. I didn't want to feel like I was left behind or be like the one guy that was like, oh, like last, you know, like he wasn't like good technically as the others. So I definitely did that, and also I wanted to like fit in the group. I wanted to be like at their level and like their expectations. So like I worked like outside for like hours on like my technique, my shooting, like receiving, turning, and things like that. That helped me.
In your words, how would you like characterize the first two years? This year you're doing well. You're able to get your confidence back. But how would you characterize like the first 2 years?
First year was hard. That was a COVID year.
Oh,
I didn't get like a lot of playing time,
okay.
you know, and the season was like pretty weird and pretty short. And then like my second year, like last year, like I started feeling like a little bit better. But I was like, you know, like sharing time with like a senior at this time when he was like a good player, you know, he's like playing like UPSL right now. I'm like happy for him, keep in touch and stuff. But like of course, you know, like as a striker, you don't want to share time really. You want to be the one who's scoring the goals. It was something that motivated me, that helped me become a better player. Like I was learning from him. It was like little things that he would tell me, like go off this shoulder, or like make the run right here, you know, that made the difference.
This year, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you had 7 goals.
Yeah,
You
so
got 7 goals, and you got lots of minutes. Kind of what clicked this year to have a good performance.
I knew it was kind of like my time, you know. I had to come in and perform. I hadn't been doing good like the past 2 years, like in my opinion, like for myself, you know, like the goals I had set. And I knew coming in, I had to like score, perform, and like overall just help the team win.
And then, so now we'll get into your mindset as an athlete. Do you have any mental techniques or tactics that you do off the bat?
Like overall, I just try to like cancel everything outside of me, you know, like take care of the things that I'm doing like in that moment, you know, like for the game, like for 2 hours, like I want to cancel out everything, like my friends, even my family, you know, like my girlfriend, anything, things like that, you know, just concentrate on the game and how can I help the team win.
Do you get to that place every game, or is there something you do to really get to that place where you're not focused on anything except the game and in that moment?
I think it started like before the game, like an hour before. Like I put my headphones on and I'm like just like listening to music, you know, that's like my comfort zone. Like, I try not to talk to people, you know, just like I try to like avoid them and stuff like that. Like I try to not text or like get calls and stuff like that, just like for that time span where I'm just like thinking about the game and concentrating on it. How can I help the team win?
Yeah, how do you deal with it like mentally? Let's say from a win and from a loss, how do you handle those wins and losses after a game?
I think after like a win or like after a loss, like that same night, because we play at nights most of the time, the same night, till I go to bed, I'll still like remember, like, you know, I'll still be thinking, oh, that was a good game we won, you know, I scored and stuff like that. Or if we lost, like, oh man, like I missed this chance, or we could have done this and that better. And after the next morning, as I wake up, I try to forget about it, you know. I mean, it's like another day, you know, like a new page. So I leave that behind and I move on.
That's a good practice. Is there something you say, or like it's just kind of a habit that during the night you might think about the game, but then after when you wake up, it's like a whole new day, you focus on the next thing?
Yeah, I think it's just a habit. Like a new day is here. So I just like leave that behind, you know, like yesterday was Tuesday, today's Wednesday. Let's take care of Wednesday, you know, forget about Tuesday.
How do you transfer that into a game? Let's say you like missed a wide open opportunity. Which have you had any really bad misses where you missed a wide open opportunity like that really sticks out? And then how do you handle that failure? How do you like move past it?
I've definitely had, yeah. And there's sometimes for me it's hard to kind of forget about those. Like I think for maybe like 5 minutes.
Right,
I'm like, man, how did I miss that? Like, you know, I usually score those. I try to cancel out because that's something that helps me. Because if I don't, like, that's gonna be affect my game and like just like my mentality, like the way I think the game after that. So I try to like just forget about it. I know, okay, next play, like take care of it, you know, like finish it.
Is that something you say like forget about our next play, or there's a phrase you say?
I think sometimes I just like tap my legs, you know, like slap on my legs, like come on, like next one, you know. Right. And after that, like I'm good.
I encourage everyone to have like they call it like a mistake ritual where you either say something or like even like you said tap your leg, and now after that you're like okay next play, you move on. You are striker forward, and I know you've taken PKs in some big games. So and the games we watched today actually in the World Cup,
yeah, they were crazy.
Yeah, both the games went to penalty kicks. So what's kind of your penalty kick process like mentally, and how do you gain the confidence to take the PKs?
Before I go up to like the spot, like I already know where I'm gonna put it, or I already know which side I'm going. Just that way, I don't be like processing, like thinking about it, making me more nervous. I kind of just look at the goal and I like breathe in, breathe it out, and that's where I go. You know, like when my body's like more relaxed and I'm more more ready for that moment.
Yeah, breathing is definitely very powerful. Just breathing it calms your whole body down. Would you say you're a creative player? Like, are you doing different skills, and are you like not afraid to try? The name our skills. Are you not afraid to try all these skills, or are you kind of just you just do what you're supposed to?
I feel like I'm more like straight to the point, like I'll do like a little step over, hit, push it to the side and shoot, like just like kind of like I'll say like straight to business, like I keep it simple, like the most simple I can,
Okay.
and that has worked for me, like like over the past years, and I just keep it that way.
How would you describe your playing style overall? Like, if you were to give like three to five words to describe your playing style, how would you describe that, and how do you stay true to that each game?
One of them definitely has to be simple.
Okay.
The other one will be confident. I always have confidence in myself, and I believe in myself. Because at the end of the day, like if you don't have confidence, it's gonna be really hard for you to perform. If you believe in yourself, like you don't need nobody else to believe in yourself but yourself. So like simple confidence, and I'll say another word, just joy. Like I go out there, like I love the game. I try to enjoy it more than just winning and losing. Sometimes I'm just glad I'm there. Like playing. Of course you want to win. But the best times I have played and like I performed the best is when I'm enjoying myself.
Definitely.
Like I'm enjoying the game.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm the same way. The best games you play are when you're having fun. You're not really thinking about the stress or the pressure. So how do you maintain that each game? Is it something that, let's say, like, yeah, listen to music, have fun, you smile on the field? Like, how do you maintain that joy as you play?
I think it just motivates me, like have NSMU like on my chest. Like I'm representing them. I'm representing like the whole school, and I'm also representing my family. Like they come out to like watch me play. But I think overall it's just like winning, like having a winning mentality. Like I always want to win, and I think that's what like motivates me and like drives me. Like I want to do good. I want to win. I want to win because I hate losing.
And then you also said you're a confident player. So how would you, if you were to tell somebody, like, how are you gain your confidence?
For me, like it was the extra work. That work, that's like what I think like helped my confidence like boost up, because I started to like realize that I wasn't like as good. There was a point where I was like, okay, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. I told myself like, work on this, like become better, and that like gave me confidence. Like for when the game came, I was like, okay, I'm ready.
You came into SME, you weren't as confident because you weren't as good as the other players, but some players might have been defeated and like, I'm leaving, I'm not as good. But you said, I'm gonna double down on that, I'm gonna work harder, and you were able to perform it and gain confidence over the years. How long did it take to gain that confidence? Did it take a whole season, a year?
I think it was like a whole season. After like my whole first season, I was like, oh, I gotta like keep working, like improve if I want to like stay at this level.
It takes time. It takes a whole season. And how do you stay disciplined to put in that work a whole season, even if some days you might not see the results? Like you said, you're the first season you're playing, and there's a senior above you, so you didn't really get to play still, but you still have to put in that work. So how do you stay disciplined? Like, what drives you?
I always like working out. Like I always like just like staying in shape. Because the next season is gonna be here. It's around the corner.
Right.
It may be like a few months away, but when you least expect it, like it's here. Again, so I'm trying to stay like in shape, be like on my best level, and like to perform.
How do you deal with lows? Like, what do you think was kind of maybe the lowest moment of your career, point of your career, and then how did your family, your support system, friends, all that, how that help you get out through that?
I think when I wasn't getting that much playing time, like like as a player, like as a striker, you of course want to play. You want to be on the field, like scoring, helping your team. But when you come into college, there's definitely gonna be players better than you, like with more experience that have been here for longer. I used to rely like a lot, like on my family. Like I used to tell my parents, like my mom especially, like my problems. I was like, I'm not playing enough and things like that. And my dad, and they'd be like, take your time, be patient. Like not everything's gonna like happen like from one day to another. Like trust the process. And that's one thing I did. I trust the process, and like I was seeing that I was getting better and better like each day.
Yeah, it's good that you have that support system. That seems like they gave you some great advice. Just being patient. Can you talk about more about like the trust the process, because that's a big point. Like you said, you might put in the work, you might not see the results this season, maybe even next season, but just keep trusting the process, putting in that work, and you might see the results. So how does that saying trust the process or just being patient really help you?
You're working on your technique or like your shooting. It's not gonna happen from one day to another. It's gonna take like days, maybe weeks. Like if not even months. And some people just like want to jump off, like oh, I want to already like be like good at this, but they like miss like these few like little steps. So that's what I mean, like trust the process, just take it step by step, like slowly, like it's not gonna happen overnight, and just take your time and be patient, and you'll get to that point where you want to be.
Have you ever had to deal with like, I won't say bad coaches, but just when the coach doesn't play you? Is there any resentment to the coach, and do you trust his judgment and be like, okay, I'm just gonna work even harder? How do you deal with that, like when the coach benches you?
I had a coach right there, and that thing is one of the best ones I had. He used to be like really hard on me. He used to tell me like, oh, your technique is bad, like like your shooting. That helped me, that motivated me just to like become a better player. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna prove you wrong. You don't think I'm a good finisher? I'm gonna work on my finishing. I'm gonna like score more. Yo, you don't think I have a good technique? I'm gonna work on my technique.
That's very impactful. If you can take a coach's criticism, like say if he benches you and not lose confidence, but use that as fuel and
Like
be
in
like,
a
I'm gonna
good
work
way,
harder.
yeah.
Yeah,
In a good way, yeah.
Right.
In a negative way.
Is that kind of how you deal with failure, criticism, all that? You just use that as fuel and work even
Yeah, I
harder?
use it as fuel, yeah. Like, okay, you don't like believe me, like you don't trust me, you don't think I can do this or that. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And that just like gives me more fuel to like work.
The importance of just like taking breaks and balancing, you know, the heavy rigors of athletics and just relaxing.
Of course, yeah. I mean, because right now, before like the season ended last week, we were like practicing like every single day. Like every single day, we were doing like something. If not, it was like in the weight room, we were like in the field, or now we're like watching films. You know, like it takes a toll. Right now that I'm on break, I'm trying to recover. You know, like you don't want to kill your body as well, because that's when like gonna pay the bills at the end of the day. You know, like you need your body to be healthy, like your legs, like everything, and especially mentally. You know, like some players like drained. So like taking time away from the game, you know, just like having like a normal life, you know, like being like a normal person. It's not gonna hurt nobody if you take a week or two off, you know. Just like go about your life, you know, hang out with your friends, your family.
And it's good for you physically and it's also good for you mentally, like you said.
Yeah,
just,
everything.
Yeah, just to relax and not think about the game, you know, 24/7, 365.
Definitely.
You said some great advice so far. Now we can get into the final 5 questions. These are the final 5 questions I ask all the athletes because they usually have some good answers. So the first one is, what's a misconception about being a D1 athlete?
A lot of people think like if you go D1, you're gonna go professional. Like straight off the bat, you know, like okay, he's gonna be like 2-3 years, 4, he's gonna go pro, you know, because he's D1. But it's really like hard, you know, like there's a lot of players, even like D2, D3 that are like really good that could be at this level. I see like old friends that are like, oh, you're playing D1, you're gonna go pro, right? And I'm like, I'm trying, you know, I'm working, but like that's like one misconception that I see a lot.
The second question is, what's the worst conditioning workout of your career?
Worst conditioning workout.
Yeah, it could be in high school, from college. Yeah, I know there's some bad ones.
In college, we've done some bad ones, but I think in high school, this would kill me.
Okay, what's one?
Because like our conditioning coach, like the cross country coach, so he used to make us run like crazy. And I think like our worst like conditioning workout was when we were doing like mile repeats, and we had to do like under 5:30
every time,
every rep. And if you got it wrong, like the next day you had to like do something. So like it was just hard. Like I could do maybe 1 or 2, but like sometimes he'll make like 3 or 4 miles, and keeping that pace.
And y'all do that like often? That wasn't just like one time thing.
No, we used to do it like maybe twice a week.
Oh man,
we used to do it for like a few months before like the season started. So it was like crazy, you know.
I guess you guys were conditioned, right?
Yeah, we were in really good shape.
That's good. And then third question is, what's the best moment of your career?
I think that one of the best moments was when I told my family like I was committed here to SMU. You know, I had the opportunity to get a degree and like help myself out. So I think that was like the best moment when I told my parents, like I saw the joy in their face, like their happiness for me, that I was gonna like go to college. You know, because hopefully if I get a degree, I'm gonna be barely the second person after my mom to get like a 4-year college degree.
Next one is, what would you tell like say high school athletes about being a college athlete?
I think like taking care of your grades. I'll say I'm not really good with grades, you know, but like I maintain myself in like an area where I'm like still eligible, you know, like where I'm still able to play, but I'm taking care of them right now. So, you know, I'm always working on them. So definitely your grades, your academics.
Last question is how would you define the word winner?
Winner for me will be seeing the people around me happy. Like, I don't want to be the only one like happy. I want to see like my defenders happy, my center, my midfielders happy, you know, like all the other strikers, the people on the bench, the coaches, our fans, you know, I want to see everybody happy. Getting pure joy out of the moment. That's what for me is a win.